This episode of Industry single-handedly took the entire season to another level. Visually stunning, psychologically haunting, and barely featuring our main characters. Episode 2 takes a full detour from the usual finance world and locks us inside Henry Muck's country estate for his 40th birthday. And what starts as a party turns into one of the darkest episodes the show has ever done. And honestly, I wasn't sure if a full Muck spotlight episode would keep me engaged, but it absolutely did. What immediately stands out is how different this episode feels. No finance chaos, no trading floors, no deals. The entire hour takes place almost entirely at Henry Muck's estate. And that choice is risky because this is a show that's always relied heavily on Harper, Yaz, and the London ecosystem to drive momentum. But this episode proves something really important. Industry doesn't need its original leads carrying every single scene to still be gripping. Harper only appears for a few minutes, and yet the episode never loses tension. Episode 2 begins before the premiere. Henry's on stage waiting for the results for his political campaign as MP, and when Jennifer wins, it becomes the second major collapse in his life, right after Lumi fails. So by the time we reach his 40th birthday, Henry is already emotionally empty. And I really have to shout out Kit Harington here. This might be one of the best performances he's given in this series. When Yaz gives him his late father's restored watch, he does not feel comfort. The very next thing he does is walk straight to the armory, examines his guns, and asks the staff to change the locks because he doesn't trust himself. That moment alone tells you everything about where his mind is. Meanwhile, Yasmin is doing what Yaz always does, managing crisis through strategy. She throws Henry a birthday party and invites the woman who beat him in the election so she can help preserve the Muck legacy. Even inside grief, Yaz is networking, and yet emotionally she's completely neglected. Henry's constantly denying her, and later during that devastating argument, we finally see how broken this marriage already is. That was a phenomenal monologue by the actress that plays Yasmin, by the way. She threatens to leave, he brings up the prenup, she counters with drugs invalidating it, he accuses her of adultery. It's a mess. At the party, Whitney and Henry finally meet, and the choice of artwork here is brilliant. They stand in front of Turner's Fisherman at Sea, a painting about men navigating darkness with only moonlight as guidance, which is exactly what Henry is doing. Whitney wants Henry's resources to grow tender. Henry needs purpose. Each man has what the other needs. But emotionally, Henry is unraveling. He humiliates himself, accuses Jennifer of sleeping with his uncle, kisses her, just wild. And then enter the commander. A mystery man by the name of the commander appears and takes Henry to a pub, encourages him to drink, to cheat, to self-destruct. And at the table sits Henry's maid, her friend, and the priest who baptized him and buried his father. And when the maid's friend insults Yaz, Henry brutally beats him up. And then comes the reveal. Outside the pub, we learn the truth. The commander isn't real. He's a hallucination of Henry's father, wearing the very watch Yaz just restored. This is one of the most haunting reveals Industry has ever done, because suddenly the episode isn't just about depression, it's about inheritance. Henry didn't just inherit wealth, he inherited trauma. He was the one that found his father, and now on the same birthday, at the same age, he's standing at the same edge. Harper finally appears for 5 minutes, and things immediately fall back into that exhausting frenemy dynamic with Yaz. It's draining, but this is intentional. These women are trapped in a loop where connection always comes with comparison. This episode also quietly exposes Yaz's family history, finding her aunt with Otto, the disturbing implication about her brother, Yaz's father, the confirmation of a bohemian childhood, as her aunt said, which explains why Yaz is the way she is, why boundaries mean nothing, why intimacy is transactional, why power always comes first. Both Henry and Yaz come from damaged dynasties. This marriage isn't random, it's inherited dysfunction meeting inherited dysfunction. The final act is pretty devastating. Henry's alone in the garage, preparing to end his life. And at the very last second, he hears Yaz's voice and he stops, drives home, embraces her, and for a brief moment, he seems saved, right? They drive off and talk about his father dying at 40, celebrating that Henry outlived him. And then he makes 2 decisions. He'll join Whitney at Tender, and he wants a child. And Yaz's face says everything. I can't wait to see what comes from this. There was a lot of growth for these characters. You see Henry at the end finally choose not to become his father, Yaz kicking her aunt out and further separating herself from the toxic family. And even Harper was a little vulnerable, telling Yaz she was lonely, asking Whitney advice on healthy working relationships. And how about when Whitney's like, do you want to go home with me? And she's like, not tonight. Yes, I loved it. I loved it. Now, I'm not saying that these characters changed overnight, but I'm starting to see the growth. This was a great hour of television. This episode felt completely different from anything Industry has ever done. They pushed the limits of the show's format, took a real creative calculative risk and trusted the audience to stay with them even without the usual pacing, setting, or characters. The fact that this episode proves the show can thrive even without Harper at the center, that's huge, and I can't wait to see what's next. So let me know what you thought about episode 2. My name is Kamara, and this is Screen Diaries. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!